Hello book friends! I've been delayed making a video mainly because of life. Been in a little bit of a reading slump. Been a little, I don't know. There's been a delay in getting audiobooks from Libby, and my library selection is very poor. So, I don't know, I was just having a difficult time. Yes, I have books, but I'm really finding I like to have the hard copy of the book along with the audio so that if I have to go into town, which is about a 45-minute drive if there's no traffic, that I can continue the reading process or go for a walk or, you know. So I like to have both, and that's sort of where I've been. So I did read last week, and I haven't talked about it, Tom Lake. I was able to get it from the library, and I got an audio version, and I loved the first half. I'm just going to jump in. I loved the first half of Tom Lake, and I was very excited to see where it was going to go, and I was engaged, and the audio is read by Meryl Streep. So for forever, this character, unfortunately, will be Meryl Streep in my head, which that's sort of the downside to using audio as well. But anyway, I finished it. I pushed through. I was ready to not finish it. It just kind of, I don't know, got slow and boring. I finished it. It was fine. It was okay. So that did not help the whole reading slump at all. I had hoped it would. And I was very hopeful going into it. And like I said, the first half I was engaged. Okay, so what does that mean? What do you do when you're, I bet there's people like me who are not just, you know, in there, they'll read anything for reading. So what I decided to do was I started out as 5 books, and I decided so what I do anyway is I take a book, see if there's one here. That's been done, maybe this one. Yeah, I take a book, and I don't know if you can see that it's been dog-eared, and it's divided into 8 portions. I have found over the years it takes me about 25% into the book before I'm super engaged and interested in finishing. That's not for everybody. Most people can, you know, but I do get bored, and maybe it's a factor of how much, you know, TV and documentaries I watch. But anyway, so I always divide my books up like this. So what I decided to do was make a list. Like I said, it started as 5, and then I remembered I had 2 book clubs coming up, so it became 7. And I spend the day cycling through the 7 books 25% or 12% at a time. So, because 1/8 of the book, so about 12% of the book at a time. So I've only done this once, and I'm not finished. I have 2 books remaining, and I started the 5 on a Monday, and then I couldn't read again until Friday. And then I read Saturday, read part of Sunday and part of Monday, and today is Tuesday. So I did finish 5 of the 7, and I'm almost finished with the remaining 2. And 2 I didn't have audiobooks for, so that was different. The books that I read, 2 are in the other room, but I'll put up a thing. The books that I read are The Lies We Leave Behind. This is a book club book that I wasn't excited about. I told you it's kind of a romantic, which is not my thing. The House Girl, which I had confused with like The Kitchen House or something that I did read years ago. And so it says on Goodreads that I've read it 3 times, which I haven't. And then The Reading List, which I've been excited about. No Two Persons. Wolf at the Table. I picked it back up. I was about halfway through with it. My other two books are Ordinary Grace, put it here, or here. Ordinary Grace, which is a book club selection, and H is for Hawk, which I believe was a book that was reviewed by Angela on BookTube. She is Angela's something. She's an Australian lady who I really like how she approaches books, and I've enjoyed her videos a lot. So how did I select these 7 books? Well, as I said, 2 were for book club, and the other 5 I was able to get with audio, and that's really how I selected them. There was no rhyme or reason. I had the hard copy, except for H is for Hawk, which I had to get interlibrary loan. I had the hard copy, and then the audio became available. So that's how I selected them. I'm gonna save one for its separate video, and that will be the reading list. So of the other remaining ones that I've finished, there are 4. And, oh, should I go from worst to best? We have a tie at the bottom. These 2. Now, I think I'm more disappointed with this, but it's probably a better book. And my disappointment is that it is a better book. And so it is about, I think I briefly talked about it, but it's a dual timeline book. It focuses on Josephine, who is a slave. She's the house girl. Her Mrs., you know, the woman of the house, is ill. She dabbles in art, and she has taught Josephine how to read and allows her to create art as well. And Josephine is quite young, I think, when all of this goes on. And the other timeline is told from, I can't remember her name, Lena. Her name's Carolina. She is a lawyer, a young lawyer, and her law firm wants to take on a case dealing with reparations. So they're looking for somebody to be the face of the class action lawsuit, which was not really meant for reparations in terms of every, you know, descendant of a slave then gets funding, but more so for establishing libraries and telling the stories of forgotten people and their contributions to this country, which, gosh, that's fantastic, right? So, and interesting. And Lena's father is a very well-known artist. So these two worlds sort of converge in a gallery where all of they're called, the lady of the house, I forget her first name, was Belle, maybe Lou Ann Bell or something like that, Lou Bell. All of her paintings are now found, and there's an exhibit. And there's some buzz in the art world that Lou Ann wasn't the painter, that it was Josephine. So that's how this story unfolds. And I was very engaged. It is overwritten. They could have used a really good editor. But this story deserves better. The last third of the book feels very lazy to me. There is a 50-page letter, which, look, I'm a genealogist. I have writings from my family members from the Civil War period. And this supposed letter, 50 pages in the book. So it would have been like 100 pages handwritten. Just nobody found it, but Lena, when she, it's just so unlikely, and the level of detail, and it answers every question. It felt very lazy from the author. And the story and the book deserved better, because the first half was pretty promising. So I think I am more frustrated with this because it is to me, a better written book. Now, I think I gave it 2 stars, which is maybe generous. And I did finish it. So this book, I had no expectation of wanting to read it, that I'd finish it, that I'd attempt it, but I did. And it is kind of a cheesy romance. And if that's your thing, you're probably gonna love it. There's an audience. I just do a lot of eye rolling, and it is overwritten too. It could be, there was a lot of skimming in this book for me, and I was able to pick up all the nuance and the details. I did get more engaged. I was telling my daughter, she's like, why are you even reading it? And I said, well, it's for book club, and it's kind of, now I want to know what happens and how it unfolds. And I was more also a dual perspective, dual timeline sort of thing. William in present day, and then his love, I forget her name, Kate, from the 40s during the war when they met and they fell in love. But of course, circumstances separated them, and he never knew what happened to her. And I was more interested in his discovery, but they spent more time in the establishing story through Kate. It was fine. It was all right, for what it is. It was fine. I did mark a couple of things in here. Oh, okay. This is a pet peeve with me. You know the phrase, I couldn't care less. And it's often misused, and people will say, I could care less, which means the exact opposite of what you want it to say. Looky here. See where it says, I could care less? That's not what they were going for. And why didn't the editor catch it? It's like, and I've seen it in 3 novels. I know it's a nitpicky sort of dumb thing, but I don't know. If you're charging people for a book, and there's a whole team of people going through it, I'm sure that there is some software that you could run through that would say, the phrase should be, I couldn't care less. Anyway. It wasn't bad, but I did give it a 2. It's just not my cup of tea. Somebody's gonna love this book, and it'll be the perfect escape, and they're gonna enjoy it thoroughly. Just not for me. That's what makes reading so fun, right? Somebody who loves the escape book and just to get into a feel-good love and, just get perfect. I don't know what my formula is. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, so my next book, I did like this one a lot. It's called No Two Persons. And it's a difficult one to, well, I loved the cover. My friend Marilyn had it at her house, and I was so taken by the cover that I went and ordered it. I didn't care what it was about. I just loved the cover art. It's so cute. Basically goes through the birthing of a novel, a story, not with a lot of detail. I think that would be my only critique here. And then how it falls into the hands of the first reader, who then gives it to the publisher, and then how it impacts other people's, somebody gives it to them at a certain point in their life, and how they can relate to the character, Theo in this case. Yeah, I wish there were more connecting details there. It does connect, but I wish there were more. I was talking to my husband about my expectation with books and how much I really enjoy. I was a big Seinfeld fan, how in 22 minutes they could take these 4 storylines, and then you're like, these are so diametrically opposed, and then somehow they bring it together in such a clever and witty way. And I think I look for that in books, and the books that really resonate with me have an element of that in them. Anyway, I enjoyed this. This was a very nice read. I think I gave it 3. Okay, so that brings me to Wolf at the Table, which I had started. I got about halfway through and I put down. And it's no, slouchy book. I put it down because of the mood I was in. This was not at all what I thought it was going to be. I was sort of led to believe that the mother suspects that one of her children is a serial killer, and while that's certainly implied in the book, it is not a huge running thing in there. It's in there, but it's and you can disagree. But this felt very unfocused to me. It was a good read. He's a great writer, and you can see why. He is, I think, mainly a playwright. And one of the characters in here is two of them are playwrights. But it felt very unfocused. We start with this family and all the siblings, and then they sort of fall away. I mean, one of the girls, Lexi, is just like, oh, she married well. And we never really know anything about her life, her feelings, her connection to her siblings, her mother, anything really. And then it starts to focus on just mainly two of the siblings. I mean, we had a third, Fiona was in there a little bit, but then it just really comes to Alec and Myra Lee. I don't know. It was an enjoyable-ish read. Well written. I mean, when I say an enjoyable read, the words were, it was well put together, and it was good. It was enjoyable to read. But did I think the story was as good as it could be? No. So those are like the different components for me. The actual, words and the language and how they write and how it's structured, and then the story too. And does it all come together like a Seinfeld ending? Not that everything has to be wrapped up in a bow. Sometimes I'll enjoy, left unsaid, because then you're wondering. But if the rest of it is so fleshed out that you're satisfied, it is fine. So, I give this a 4 for the writing style, but a 3 for the story. Anyway, that was good. So I have 2 left. H is for Hawk, which to me is like a really nice wine, and there's a lot. I don't want to guzzle it. I want to kind of take a little at a time. And Ordinary Grace, I will review it when I'm finished. But I was telling my friend Nan that it feels like the movie Stand By Me. Have you ever watched that film? I watched it a lot, and I love it. And when I hear Frank, the main character's voice, I hear the narrator from the film. So I'm almost done with my experiment of 7, and I have 2 stacks of books. I have a book haul, which is really because of the reading list. And you know what? I think I'm going to save that for another video. Yeah, let's end it here. This has already been long enough. That's what I've been doing. That's where I am in my little experiment with my 7 books at a time, 12% at a time. And the reason it's uneven is because I added, 2 on, I started on Monday, and then I added 2 more on Friday. So it was 5, and then it was 7. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. You don't care about that. I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, keep reading.